a dark corner of this world, there are stories that were never meant to be told. Stories that begin with a moment of curiosity and end with a price no one can ever bear. Tonight, we open a door that should remain closed and return to one of the most haunting tales of fear and mystery. Before we begin, sit somewhere quiet, turn off the lights, and prepare yourself for a journey your mind will never forget. This is the story of the monkey's paw. On a stormy night, the rain hammered against the windows of the White family's house, while the wind howled outside without mercy. Inside the warm living room, the curtains were drawn and the fire glowed brightly in the fireplace, filling the space with warmth and calm. Mr. White and his son Herbert were playing chess, while Mrs. White, an elderly woman with white hair, sat quietly knitting beside the fire.
Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. Mr. White stood up to greet the visitor. It was Sergeant Morris, an old friend who had returned after 20 years of military service. A large man, red-faced, with sharp, penetrating eyes. They welcomed him in and gathered around the fireplace with cups of tea as he began telling thrilling stories about his adventures and the wars he had lived through. But the story that captured their attention more than anything else was about a strange object he pulled from his pocket, a dried monkey's paw. He explained that it was enchanted with an ancient spell, granting its owner 3 wishes, each with dangerous consequences. He added seriously, the first man who possessed it wished for death with his 3rd wish.
Despite the sergeant's warnings, Mr. White insisted, half joking, on trying the paw. He held it up and wished for a large sum of money. At that very moment, he felt the paw twitch in his hand as if it were alive. The evening ended with laughter and disbelief, but something unseen had already begun. The next morning, under the pale winter sunlight, everything seemed normal again. Mrs. White prepared breakfast, laughing as she said, "All old soldiers are the same, and even if wishes came true, how could money possibly hurt us?" Herbert laughed as he left for work, saying, "Just don't wish for anything until I come back." Later that day, Mr. White noticed a strange man standing outside the house. He wore a neat suit and a polished hat and looked extremely nervous. He hesitated 3 times before finally stepping in. With a shaky voice, he said, "I'm from the company where your son works." Mrs. White jumped up. "What happened to Herbert?" The man stuttered before revealing the terrible truth. "There's been an accident." He told them that Herbert had been caught in the machinery. The company couldn't take responsibility, but they would offer financial compensation. And the amount was exactly the same sum Mr. White had wished for the night before. Their wish had come true, but the price was their only son. After burying Herbert 2 miles from their home, the couple returned to a house filled with silence and darkness. The grief was heavier than anything they had ever known, as if the soul of the home had died with him. 2 weeks later, late at night, Mr. White awoke to the sound of his wife crying. Suddenly, she screamed, "The paw! Where is it?" His heart froze. "I want our son back," she cried. "We still have 2 wishes left." He tried to stop her. "It's been 10 days, his body." But she wouldn't listen. She searched through the dark house until she found the paw, and with a trembling voice, she wished her son back to life. Moments later, Someone began knocking on the door. Soft at first, then louder and louder. "It's him! It's my son!" she screamed. Mr. White grabbed her, yelling, "Don't open it!" But she struggled to break free. He fumbled through the darkness, searching desperately for the paw. In pure panic, he voiced the third and final wish. When Mrs. White finally opened the door, there was nothing outside but the empty street, lit by a flickering lamppost. She screamed in agony, losing her son for the second time. In her collapse, she knocked over a small candle, setting the curtains on fire. The flames spread quickly through the old house. Mr. White tried to save her, but the collapsing ceiling stopped him. The final wish saved them from a fate more horrifying, but it also took their lives. Outside the burning house, Sergeant Morris stood watching with a cold smile. He picked up the monkey's paw from the ashes and whispered, "Everything went exactly as planned. One wish brought me wealth, and its price was an entire family." And so, the paw begins its next cycle, searching for another victim of greed and desperation. And that is the end of our story for today. A story that wasn't just frightening, but a silent warning about the dangers of desires when they go beyond control. Sometimes what we think is a blessing may hide a curse we never see until it's too late. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. What would you do if the monkey's paw was in your hands? See you in another story, another fear. Stay safe, and goodbye.